So I'm here with Dave and Spence. They've got a business down in Columbia, South Carolina. How'd you guys get started? And then I'd love to get into the industry as a whole. What are you guys seeing in Columbia? I'll tell you what we're seeing here in Charlotte. Love to compare some notes.
Pretty brutal. That first year was tough.
Yeah. And there's a instance where we were roommates as well at the time. And the bills that we had to pay one month, it was the tip from a job covered just our
Wow.
bill. So like it was like the way we were like, if we're surviving, we're thriving, we're gonna keep going, just keep surviving. That was the goal. And just stay in business. And we got very lucky that it ended up working out.
That's amazing. Man, I love these kind of stories. All right. So you guys get started, you do your first year, you do right around 70 grand. Now, did you get to a point that first year where you guys kind of questioned your life choices? Were you ever at a place where you're like, what are we doing? Did you ever get to like really gross, disgusting jobs like, dear God, no.
It wasn't the dirt. It was
No.
the finances that were,
Yeah.
yes, the struggle.
Okay.
But I don't even think the first year, I didn't even think about that. It was like more of whenever we now have people that are working for us. We have like now there's more responsibility upon just paying ourselves.
Mm.
And I think that in itself is very stressful because I'm in charge of sales. He's in charge of more of integrating systems, stuff like that. So I feel it more on the sales part of it. So I think it's more of a in year two, I started seeing that more for
Okay.
myself.
So I'm going to step back here for a second and talk about what I call the five pillars of any business. But you've got sales, marketing, operations, finance, and tech. So you handle sales. Who handles marketing?
Yeah, I'm sales and marketing.
Okay, so you're sales and marketing. And who is your ops guy? Do you have an operations person?
We do.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a separate role.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
separate role, completely separate.
and then you have someone on the finance side.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
him.
that's
Okay, and then you have someone that handles your tech stack, whatever that consists of.
Yeah.
that was
That would
yeah.
be okay, got it. So Dave, how does sales work? What does sales when you say I manage sales, what does that look like? Because one thing I've noticed is in this industry, it's very interesting. Some people don't have a sales strategy. They don't do any kind of sales. So I've seen lots of other content out there where people essentially just rely on the leads to come in. There's really no outbound effort. They're not out there knocking on doors and prospecting. And I will tell you, our first couple of years, we weren't focused on having our guys be salespeople. And one of the reasons for that is I had such an aversion to when people would come to my house to install an electrical outlet. And before I know it, they are literally trying to sell me and hard close me on rewiring my entire home. And I also had some experience early on with 1-800 Got Junk and Junk King. And they had such an aggressive sales approach that I didn't like it. I found it to be very much off putting. It's like, it felt a little bit like a used car. It felt a little bit like bait and switch. And so Davis, though, convinced me by year two, hey, our guys are great. Like customer service was phenomenal. Our reviews, I think, speak to that. But Davis was right. He kept beating on that drum. Our guys need to do a better job, though, selling because we are there to sell, right? It doesn't mean that we have to take advantage of people, but oftentimes they don't know if you don't tell them, hey, by the way, we can take care of that hot tub over there that looks like it hasn't seen any action in 20 years. That old dusty piano, we can take care of it. That fence that looks like it's seen better days, we can demo that, haul that away, and on and on and on. And he was totally right. So, how was that something day one that you were focused on was sales? And if so, what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So day one, yes, start off with just doing sales. I'm a people person, love connecting with people. It started off with us going to like networking, BNI,
Mm.
different places where there's a bunch of real estate agents, just ways that we can kind of get in front of people that could also give us business. What I liked about the networking groups was that it's maybe there's 80 people in a group and those are 80 people that can sell your business and
Mm.
you're paying for that. That was very, very helpful in the beginning of our business. And then I started to notice that it was like, okay, word of mouth has been really helpful. Even just people writing us reviews, that in turn, because it like legitimized our business to show that we are a 5-star company with over 600 reviews. That's a big deal. So I think that also yard signs was very helpful because we just wanted to get our name out there. And I think now sales has looked different because we're focusing more on commercial. Before it was a lot of residential of just trying to get our name out there. Now our name is out there. We would like to kind of focus on those bigger jobs where it's a full load, 2 loads. And a lot of that comes from the property managers or estate attorneys or just people like that that have bigger jobs for us.
Got it.
So just yeah, focusing more on that. And I don't know about from you, but like we did do Google Ads for a little bit, and then we saw that the return from that started to be just less and less. And we decided against doing Google Ads entirely like 2 weeks ago. And just, I mean, Google My Business is the only thing. And we have just a profile for that where it's optimized, but that's about it.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? So that actually is getting way ahead of my questions I normally would ask here because I think this is a perfect segue. It's so funny you say that. So we have spent a ton of money on Google Ads, LSAs, we've tested Facebook ads, you name it. And yesterday, I kid you not, yesterday I get a message from Davis. We talk, as you can imagine, probably like you guys, 50 times a day, just texting. And he texted me and said, "Hey, what do you think about just turning off Google Ads completely?" And I was like, and so I manage all the marketing. Sorry, now we're getting confused here. I manage all the marketing. Davis handles all of the sales, and we kind of share operations. I'm more the field ops, so I manage our guys, whereas Davis does a phenomenal job behind the scenes. He's the guy that if there's any issues with banks and vendors and tracking down payments, he does all that. He's just got the mind for it, whereas I'm more like you guys. I'm wide open. I'm ADD to the max, and then we have a bookkeeper and we have an accountant and what I noticed though, was so funny about his timing is because I was sitting there thinking the exact same thing right before he texted me is, I'm looking at our numbers in our CRM, I'm looking at all the results, and it's like, dude, most of our calls come in. First of all, we've been in business 8.5 years. You guys are what, 4.5?
3.5.
3.5.
3.5. Okay. So when you get to a place, I noticed the biggest difference probably around year 6, 7, somewhere in there, where we were getting close to the majority of our calls were coming from repeat customers and referrals. And today that is absolutely true. I'd say probably 60% of our calls. In other words, if I turned everything off completely, we would still get calls. We probably still get 15-ish calls on a good day, maybe 10 to 12 on average. And that's with nothing external. So those repeats and those referrals really go a long way. But I'm in the same place. And I have a theory, I'm sure you guys do, as far as what's driving that. I will say that LSAs seem to be the king. If I flip on LSAs, I can toggle those on and off, by the way, and it doesn't impact performance, unlike Google Ads. Google Ads, if you mess with the budget too much, not to mention headlines and descriptions and images and all that stuff, it is going to obliterate the learnings and it will reset. The algorithm has to reset. And now you're really screwed. But with LSAs, it doesn't affect that. I can toggle that on and off anytime. So if we are fully booked for the next 2 weeks and can't handle any more business or more, I can just toggle that off. When I'm ready, turn it back on. But LSAs, as soon as it comes back on, that phone starts ringing. The problem with LSAs, you never know what you're getting, right? So someone that is trying to get rid of an old car or a single item that we've really gotten away from as far as paid ads, we don't advertise for single item pickup for anything anymore, unless it's maybe a piano, a hot tub, bigger items. But have you guys had any experience with LSAs? And if so, what has that been like?
It's very similar to what you're describing. It's kind of a crapshoot. Like every now and then we'll get a crazy job from Google LSA, but most of the time people that are picking up the phone there, it's like they just want a couch or a dresser or a grill gone. And so I think it's been hard for us to try and figure out how to, there's always the opportunity to upsell on the phone or when the guys go out there, but a lot of those clients, it feels like Google LSA is giving us like filler jobs where it might make sense for us to do it if we're already going to be in the area. And so it's kind of up to us to make sure we're scheduling them at the right times, if that makes sense.
Totally.
It's not, yeah, it's definitely been one that's been helpful for us to scale. But I think now, like recently in the last probably 3 to 6 months, we're really trying to figure out how to market more towards those larger pickups and not get called out there just for a couch because
Yeah.
it's barely worth it.
Yeah. What has been helpful for junk removal for like your company when it comes to marketing for those bigger jobs?
Yeah, great question. So funny the timing of this, guys. The video that I was making today to put on our YouTube channel is about how to win commercial contracts specifically. I've put a whole package together, a document that is very detailed that includes everything from phone scripts to email templates, all that stuff. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. What I found was number one, like you guys, when we made a very intentional pivot to commercial and away from residential, it doesn't mean, to be clear, I'm not suggesting you don't do residential jobs. I'm saying we only have so many units in a day. We only have so many hours in a day. Okay, if I'm going to invest my time anywhere, I want it to get the greatest yield. And the greatest yield for us is going to be larger ticket jobs. Now, what about garage cleanouts or house cleanouts, estate cleanouts, residential? Yeah, those are great. So invest your time and energy there. But if I'm looking at it on a percentage, I'm saying I'm still investing 20 to 30% max towards that side of the fence. The other 70% today is towards, it's really a split between either large commercial jobs that fit in the junk removal vein, or it's going to be towards site services type work. Because again, we own the equipment. Our guys love that kind of work. So that makes sense for our business. To be explicit, I'm not suggesting any junk removal company out there just decide based on what I just said, okay, we're going to go do site services. That's a big matzo ball to tackle if you have no experience in it, if you don't know what you're doing. I'm not recommending you just watch a few YouTube videos on how to operate a skid steer and an excavator and go start knocking down mobile homes. There's a lot to it. But I would say for our business, it made a ton of sense. Again, we have guys that that's what they wanted to do as a career. Something I'm very cognizant of is in junk removal, you guys know this, it's very hard to get lifers. It's very hard to get guys that go, I want to do junk removal indefinitely,
Mhm.
right? That's almost never going to happen. So what I've tried to really focus on is how do we build a career for these guys? How do we make it to where they can do more than just throw stuff in a truck? Because let's be honest, the Tesla bots can do that, right? I'm trying to think beyond that. What is something that not just anyone can throw something in a truck, but operating heavy machinery is harder. Really mastering a skid steer, a front loader, an excavator, even dump trucks, maneuvering around job sites. Those are things that really give guys a future. So that's where I spend a lot of my time, guys, is trying to bring in jobs around these bigger jobs, demolitions, and working, by the way, with municipalities. If you can lock in a county in your area, now you've hit pay dirt. Because where we are, there are a ton of counties, and some of these counties are so big and they're rural. So you've got a lot of properties. I'm sure you see those all over the place where there is old cars and several mobile homes and sheds and all kind washing machines, everything in that yard. Well, those tend to be big jobs. So we can go in there and do that job, and we can do it with 1 to 2 guys max, and we can do 20, $30,000 on one job and be done in 3 or 4 days. So when you contrast that with junk removal, you can see that the disparity is massive. How many garage cleanouts? How many single item pickups do you have to do to get to $30,000? A lot. Not to mention your dump fees. Versus if you do it right with certain municipalities, you can negotiate in the contract that they pay the dump fees. As long as you take it to their local, which of course you would, you're in their county. As long as you take it there and you have the receipts, you have pictures, they'll even cover that for you. So that was a really, really great play for us. But I hope that answers your question. That's how I look at my time because I manage marketing is where am I going to spend it? 20 to 30% max on the residential side. 70% is going to be over here with the commercial. To get more specific though with commercial work, and this is going to sound a little bit naive, but the truth is to really get more commercial work, you just have to actively advertise for it. And what I mean by that is it needs to be not only on paid ads, if you're going to run paid ads, but you need to make that a strategy with your Google business profile. If you guys aren't doing that, if anyone isn't, that needs to be like priority number one because that is one of the strongest signals Google is going to look for when people type in, if someone is a manager or owner of a warehouse, commercial property, when they type in, junk removal or office clean out or any of those things, your Google business profile is one of the first places that it should be pulling data from. So if I type that in, I want to make sure that my Google business profile is going to populate. So I started actively putting in those kind of posts, promos on our Google business page. Obviously, web pages, whether you want to consider those blogs or just web pages, I would say location pages are huge. Make sure that you're building out and get super nuanced there. So, in other words, I'm not building just location pages as in Charlotte versus Matthews versus Huntersville versus Davidson. I'm getting nuanced and doing neighborhoods within those different towns. So, a big exclusive neighborhood here may be the Point or the Peninsula. So, I have web pages I'm building specifically for those neighborhoods. So, I'm going to be doing those kind of same things though for commercial properties and for office spaces, for retail spaces, could be big box retailers, Costco's and your Walmarts. And think of all the stuff they have to get rid of on a regular basis to make room for new stuff, right? Not only perishable, because a lot of food, if you've never done these jobs, the amount of food that those big box retailers get rid of on a daily basis is mind boggling. Because once it expires, they got to go and they can't just
Mhm.
put it in the dumpster. So that's one example of commercial type work that I also love because it's recurring, right? If you get the right kind of contracts, that's recurring business. So it's predictable. That's the holy grail of home services. That's the reason why pest control has really taken off because all these VCs came in and said, hey, we love this predictable revenue that's coming in. So I would just say get very intentional and post everywhere for commercial type of work. And you'll start pulling that in because the signals are going to recognize that. That's really what made the biggest difference for us. And then on the sales side, going after those, like I mentioned, being on the lookout for those municipalities, any type of jobs that we got, any bid alerts, we would immediately put that in.
Hmm. Okay. And then I guess more towards because I also like go out to those businesses or like I'll go out to those property managers. Are we moving away towards that now because of just how everything is online, or is that still helpful to be going out to property managers to be able to like introduce myself?
That's a great question. So I would put that back over to you because Davis and I work from home. Davis is on his computer. He is, I mean, we probably both are. I don't know about you guys, but we work way too much. The thing is when you work from home, you kind of feel like I'm not working as much because I can get up right now, go in there and have lunch with the family. My kids are homeschooled. It's awesome. My wife has been an at-home mom forever. So that's great. But it kind of gives you this illusion that you're not working as much as you are, but we are. Like we work 60 to 80 hours a week. So with that, the vast majority of what we've done over the years has been over the phone, it's been online, it's been an email. So we have not done a ton of physical prospecting, going out there and knocking on doors. Sounds like that's really what you do. It's a lot of what you do anyways. How has that been for you? And have you noticed any trend over the past few years?
Yeah. So a lot of the biggest clients that we've had is from me going out to networking or to going out to like and meeting people. And those people tend to be very consistent, like returning clients. I like to say that like once we get a client, it turns out that they're going to be a returning client just because the service that we provide has been just stellar. They're 5-star experience. So I think it has helped. The problem that I'm seeing is that I have not created processes for what I'm doing. And it's great if I'm doing it, but now how would I tell someone else to do it? I'm kind of like, because I'm like, you use the term like in the Wild West cowboy. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what it feels like I'm doing. I'm just shooting. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out, and it works sometimes. Sometimes I make it, but sometimes I don't. And it's hard for me to help bring other people into it if I don't even know what I'm doing sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, not that you're asking, but if that was me, because we've been there. You know, we've again the first few years we really needed to get more process oriented, and I think we've done a good job about really papering everything up over the years. Now, like everything is papered up. Everything we've got a process, a system, a document, digital and physical for just about anything you can think of. But I think the biggest thing is, and this is tough for guys like us that are wide open, that are ADD. This is the hardest part, but if you can just force yourself with no vibe ants, don't do that. But if you can force yourself to just sit in a room with no distractions, there's a book called Deep Work. If you haven't read that, I don't know if you guys read much, but Deep Work is a phenomenal book. And I will give you the summary of this book. The summary is basically find time every day to turn off your distractions. My phone, I turned off notifications a few years ago on my phone, and it was a game changer. And I know that's a douchey term, we overuse it, but it really was, guys, because like you, my phone was dinging every 5 seconds, especially in this business. Your guys have questions, customers are calling and texting, your partner is trying to get a hold of you, your spouse is getting a hold of you. It just never ends. Then you've got social media notifications and on and on and on. So it was making it virtually impossible to sit there for even 5 minutes uninterrupted and concentrate and get something done. So that's the premise of deep work is turn everything off, even if it's for 1 hour a day, and then eventually get to where you can do it maybe for 2 hours. Maybe you could get to where you're doing it for 4 hours. I know that's madness. But the whole point is you will be amazed if you can get it to where there's no notifications, no phone calls, no texts, nothing for a solid hour or two, how much you can get done. Because now you can hyper focus. There's no other distractions. As soon as you get head down into that document, ding, and then you get right back, crap, where was I? So you get back on it, ding, it is obnoxious. So if you can just figure out how to turn all those distractions off for an hour to two, that's what I would do. I would just, if you have to, just voice record what your process is, get it on paper, transpose that over to Canva, make it a nice, pretty document, and there you go. That's a day project. Totally. Because what you're doing is the hardest part. I'll tell you that right now. And I think you know that, but whether it's this business or any business, the hardest thing is what most people don't want to do, which is going out there door to door. Knocking on doors is like the most dreaded task, and you're doing it. And that's a huge deal. So I would say just find the time to paper that up and find someone that can do that either with you or for you so that you can then continue to grow the business if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. I'm I'm like honestly very, very like encouraged too by it seems like how y'all have done business. It's been more of like through online, through ads, through like I guess word of mouth has worked it, but like I'm very surprised by that. And I how did y'all do that?
Really? That's funny. That's funny. So I want to be careful not to monopolize this. So if I start talking too much, remind me that I'm trying to get information out of you guys, not the
Oh,
opposite.
sorry.
I don't want to monopolize this. Okay, I would say I would say this, especially now where everything is like moving towards AI. Like how many people now are getting their phone, including you guys, and not just using AI as an extension of Google, but are really giving very detailed prompts of not just what's the best pizza place around me. We can already do that with Google Maps. But how many people are getting super nuanced and they're saying, I need a new roof for my house. I'm thinking about going with this color and this style, but I really am not sure if that's the best for the weather. I mean, people are really talking. My wife, my mom, I hear it. My mom is 77. I'm like, you're using Chat GPT now? So that's just the direction that we're going. And I think we have to adjust to those things. So again, I came from that space. So does Davis. And so we were on that wave almost immediately. As soon as Chat GPT came out, we were on it. So I would say because of that, we tried to get ahead of that curve in terms of making sure that our content, everything we put out there, including the website, like we redid the website. And I'll be honest with you, and I probably should not say this because I did it, but I retooled the website specifically with like AI search engines or LLMs in mind, not what Ted thinks is pretty. Because I'm a design nerd. I like things that look pretty. I like a website that looks beautiful. I come from the agency world, so I'm used to really good looking websites. But does that matter the way it used to? No. What matters is the AI able to like instantly get the answers it's looking for? Is the LLM able to match up exactly what that query is? Sometimes they're very complex, like we just talked about, and match it up exactly with the right website. So I rebuilt it with that in mind, not trying to make it as good as it possibly could look. I think it looks good, don't get me wrong. But I would say that's one thing is just, just making sure that you're staying ahead of those trends, whatever those are. In all the posts that we do, just as an example, getting very specific that if you can try to get your customer, and if the customer doesn't do it, that's okay. Then you can do it as the owner when you reply to those reviews that people leave you. Try to get very specific. Try to get the customer to get very specific. But again, if they don't, then you do it. Meaning, I'm not going to just say, hey, thanks for your great review. We appreciate it. I'm going to say something like, thanks for allowing us to remove that couch, love seat, side table, and mattress from your house in the Ballantyne area in Charlotte. It was great meeting you. I know you've got a garage clean out coming up soon. I'm getting very specific with that. So those are things that I just, from what I see, a lot of other junk removal business owners aren't getting nuanced with some of those types of tactics. And by the way, neither were we like when we first started. So this is in no way us being on a high horse. These are things we've learned just from time and from screwing it up and then studying it and going, what are best practices? Like, why is this guy's account, why is it doing so much better than everyone else's? So I think that's the biggest thing, guys, is not just putting content out there, but what content specifically does a commercial property owner, manager, company, what are they looking for? What are those signals online they're looking for? So if you're a big, big company and you're talking about, if you're a county and you want to do business with your business versus my business, they're going to be looking into a lot more than just does the website look good. They want to know that you're going to show up on time. What kind of equipment do you have? And honestly, I think putting out good videos is also a factor. I think having a good, strong YouTube presence. There's times that people will search for things, and we are the first thing they see is a YouTube video about a pool, an in-ground pool demo that we did. So it's like, if I'm a county, I want to see that. Have you done these kind of jobs before? Have you done jobs that literally are span over the course of 1 to 2 acres? So having that kind of stuff out there that is very easy to find is huge.
Mm.
Is that
No,
helpful?
that's yeah, no, very helpful. I appreciate that.
Real quick,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll cut here for the editing or whatever you need to do. But I do have a hard exit in like 5 minutes
Oh,
because I
no
have
problem.
about to. So I just
No
wanted to
problem.
just in your ear.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's do a wrap up then. Okay, so guys, we've covered a lot. The thing that I'm most curious about before we hop though is what is the market like in your area and how has that evolved over the past few years? What trends are you seeing?
We're seeing a ton of development in Colombia right now. So, which is cool because I think it's been kind of a maybe hidden gem or sort of stagnant for a while. We both moved here for college about 8 years ago. And then the last 5 years, we're seeing explosive growth, especially in the suburbs. But we've got like a lot of new, like large manufacturers coming in around our area of the world. And so it's driving new jobs here. And a lot of that, a lot of people that are buying those, new construction homes that are popping up around these facilities are moving here from other states and then they land here and they have like a ton of junk. So we're seeing like a lot of growth in specific neighborhoods in Colombia. We're also, I think, in some ways seeing a lot more commercial work, but I don't know if that's just because we're trying to like push out more to that. At least for like if you zeroed it into our company, I think people are like we're able to convince a lot of commercial companies that maybe would have just used a dumpster in the past, but that might not be the best option. Use our service and set up recurring clean outs and stuff like that for them. So um that's
And
those are
how competitive is Columbia? Because in
It
Charlotte, it is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty competitive here. Not even just with like kind of like franchises, but like even just some guy with a truck and a trailer that's
Got it.
just asking to do that, or maybe a college student that's doing it for the summer. It's like stuff like that. People are still doing it. So it's pretty concentrated. I would say uh, and what's difficult is I think that a couple of the bigger ones, they're also like the people that own it are like good guys.
Yeah.
Like it'd be different if our competitors were like not also like they're good people too. So it's really it's nice. I like one of the guys that I talked to. He said like when there's a rising tide, all the ships go
Mhm.
up. So I like that saying because it's I think the competition that we do have it just makes us also better. Like we strive to be the best junk removal company in Colombia, and I think good competition means that that just makes it a little harder. And it I we strive for it. We love it.
Well, Spencer, I know you got to hop, so let me just ask you one question before you leave. What does the future look like for your business? When you guys project a year into the future, 5 years, 10 years, what does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, I think for us right now, we're kind of navigating like, as we're putting funds aside, we're trying to figure out what is the best way for us to expand this business. Do we expand with breadth of services that we offer in our existing service area, or do we want to start servicing other areas? So, even within our city, we're essentially located to, three or four other population centers in South Carolina that are exploding. And so there is some attractiveness there, but I think the number one thing right now, like you had mentioned, you guys do a lot of land clearing and site services and stuff. I think thinking about things like that that will complement what we're doing well and help us, cross sell or upsell, and maybe even and get some of those career guys instead of it just being guys, that are coming up as managers. Some of those guys that are out in the field creating careers for them, I think is exciting for us. We've benefited a lot from mentorship, and I think that drives a lot of what we do here. And we'd love to see some of these people sticking around because we feel very blessed. We've got salt of the earth guys on the team, and they you look at our reviews, like they blow customers away. That's heavily due to their effort and their desire to treat people with respect.
I'll talk to you soon.
So yeah.
All right, see you.